When were you there?
Friday night.
Friday night. Yeah, I went Saturday night.
Good fun.
Yeah.
Everything going well with the high school, I understand. Prom went well.
Prom went well, yeah.
Except for
Good.
the rain.
Except for the pouring down rain, yes.
Came in and it was like ice blocks in this room. I forget what it's like to be in an air conditioned building.
It's got.
Look what we do. We just push the chair out. Don't.
Place out.
That's fine. That's not like
Hi, Jimmy. Holy cats, ragtime band, straw hats, all right.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please call the roll, Secretary.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Mrs. Issing.
Here.
Mr. Klein. Present. Mr. Kachasik.
Here.
Dr. Koschuk.
Here.
Mr. Leonard.
Here.
Mr. Matarazzo.
Here.
Mr. Nemec.
Here.
Mr. Petrucci.
Here.
Mr. Stovall.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We'll now go to information from our esteemed Superintendent, Dr. Harris.
Sure, we'll start with special reports with Mr. Leonard.
My special report is regarding the April Intermediate Unit monthly meetings. Our regular board meeting was held April 26, 2022, and prior to that same day, we had an all-day retreat. The all-day retreat was held prior to the regular meeting. There was 11 of the 17 more board members were in attendance, 6 were absent. At the retreat, the board was given a very informative tour of the Clairview School. And this was very, very beneficial to all of us in that we got to interact and observe the students during a normal school day. After this tour, the board spent the rest of the day with staff and administration getting to know each other better as we all engaged in panel discussions and various training opportunities. The legal group gave a presentation on general legal issues and legal updates. The administration staff each gave the board a nice presentation on their individual duties and roles and responsibilities. The retreat lasted from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. The board then attended their executive session meeting. Executive session topics included Dr. Conway's goals and his progress on his goals, the ongoing executive director's performance evaluation and appraisal, various personnel matters, various legal matters, and a potential property sale. The regular board meeting was started approximately 7 p.m. then. At the regular board meeting, committee reports were reviewed and approved. All financial reports were reviewed. The results of the ongoing IU board member election was discussed. Typically, there is not a very good response to this election process. Each board member from each district is sent a ballot. The intermediate unit board has requested that all ballots be returned promptly if you have not already done so. So each one of you board members would have gotten ballots and are requesting, if you haven't sent them in, please do, because whenever we tally our ballots every year, it's usually about 47% return. Now, you can still garner results from that, but they wanted us to try to get more participation from our individual board members. Also, on April 21st, I attended a negotiation meeting at the intermediate unit from approximately 4:30 to 8 o'clock, at which I participated in the ongoing contract negotiations between the intermediate unit and their teachers unit. The next teacher negotiations meeting I will be attending will be held May 23rd, and the next IU board meeting will be held on May 24th. I hope to attend both. As always, a complete agenda and summary of the intermediate unit meeting minutes minutes and their agendas available on the website. And this concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Next, we have a report from Mr. Petrucci for the CWCTC.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Just for people who don't know, CTC stands for Career Technology Center. Just we have so many new faces. Then also the old name was VOTEC. So you know, I am the representative there. Okay, we met on last Thursday the 5th. Meeting was set with McDowell Manufacturing to discuss the concept of how they incorporate engineering and machine manufacturing. Next was the supplemental equipment we bought for the machine shop, $89,675, and some of this is going to use for a boom lift with 2 scissor lifts, and this is for the construction project. We do all our own constructing. 16 automotive technology seniors have passed the state inspection identification written test. They will complete the state inspection hands-on test and emission certification before the end of this month. CDL classes began. We hope to have, I will come to that. Let me see. We hope to have CDL. I think we're gonna have 35 students, male and female. And by the way, just so you know, the CDL, if you saw in the TV or anyplace else, Sam's Club's advertising $88,000 a year beginning salary for tractor trailer drivers. So CDL is worth having, even for a backup. Okay, our budget grand total was $9.1 million. Our general fund budget was $8.6 million. Anticipated cost to all the districts, there are 9 districts in Central Career Technology Center, was $6,800,000. The proposed enrollment for next year is $1,239, and the average per pupil cost is $6,300.
Nick, did that go up or down?
That went down.
That went down because the number of kids went up.
Yes, that's right, number of kids went up, so it went down, that's correct.
Because we had a
Dr.
increase
Harris.
here as well.
Okay. CPR training, all seniors were required to earn their CPR certificates, and they should have, there were over 300 seniors. They were, well, required, we can't make them do it, that's no state requirement, but we acted like we were requiring them to do it, and they did it. There are now 900 students in co-op. Co-ops mean we place the students on a job for half a day, or usually it's 4 days a week, and then 1 day a week they stay in a building for theory, and many that are placed all through central Westmoreland County. Almost every program is going to be at capacity for next school year. 60 machinist apprenticeships will finish related training and journeyman person papers by the end of May. 14 have completed all 4 years of the program and graduate on June 8th. And the starting salary, I think there's low 20s an hour with increments every 3 months. There are 20 students now in the CDL program. For those who don't know, that stands for Commercial Driver's License. The next CDL class will begin on the 16th of this month here. Conduct an employee maintenance position with Norman Senior High School. They will ask us to help out Norman School District. Ask us to help them out. And also now, next year, we plan on introducing an agriculture program with a horticulture program. And we think that's gonna go over big. And we hired 2 people. One is Danielle Adamson, and she's gonna be hired for productive service instructor. Her salary is gonna be $54,000. And another Danielle Overdorf, and instruction will be $62,000, and she will be teaching agriculture and horticulture classes. And our next meeting is June 2nd. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Petrucci, and I think I have to correct something. He told you what CWCTC stands for. I didn't tell you what IU stands for. That's the intermediate unit. That is a county-wide school where all 17 districts send students to have special training for special needs. So that's what my report was about.
And then Nick, actually with the number we have next year, I can actually say 10% of the high school will be involved in the Career Technology Center. And that's something we push every year because I always recommend, it's a great place to go. We started in middle school with more kids getting able to go out and visit, and they've also done a presentation. They came to your school this year, correct, Jim?
Yes, very good presentation, very interactive with kids. We're going there.
So we have promoted it, and actually next year we're at 126, it's 10%.
I forgot to mention, our employment rate is in the mid-90 percentile.
The
Our
kids leave
students
there
graduate.
well prepared and with jobs, and I appreciate that, so. or they go on to another future school. We're getting more trades or different things, so it's a great possibility. So it's always something we promote, and it's nice to see the numbers. Students of the Month. This is our favorite part of every month because we get to recognize the students at the different schools, and we have a lot tonight. So I do apologize for not having enough chairs. I didn't realize until I got into the room. So for some of the people standing, but let's just start right away with Dr. Corner representing Sunrise.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Before I begin for my Student of the Month, just a couple of things about the elementary that are happening right now. The elementary just finished up PSSA testing last week, so we're pretty excited about that. We're just working on makeups. Unlike the last couple of years, the big events in May are field trips. We haven't gone on field trips in quite some time, so we are bombarded with them over the next 2 weeks. The kindergarten are all going to Triple B Farms over the next 2 weeks, depending on the school. First, second, and third grade are going together to the zoo from each building, which is something new. We've not done that before. Track and Field Day is back on for 4th grade. That's next week. And all of the 5th grades are going to a career day trip sponsored by FEPL, the credit union, which is really nice of them to do that. We also have Fun Day back on for the first time in a couple of years. Kindergarten lunches for the kids to learn how to go through the lunch line, and kindergarten farewell. So we have a jam-packed 3 weeks of events.
That's good. That's how it should be.
Yes, yes. So at this time, I would like to welcome Braden Bridge, the elementary student of the month. Come on up, Braden. Right smack in the center, Braden. There you go. You got a big crowd to look at you. Okay, so Braden Bridge is a 5th grade student at Sunrise Elementary School, and is joined today by his mother, I believe some aunts, is that correct? His sisters, Mackenzie and Jessie. Mackenzie's in the back. She's currently attending, I wrote it down here, Seton Hill, is that correct? And Jessie is a senior at the high school, just about ready to graduate. Braden is a wonderful choice for our May Student of the Month, and I absolutely enjoy his kind and caring demeanor. During our conversation, Braden told me that he loves to watch TV in bed with his dog, Emmy. Braden also loves to play video games. His favorite is Minecraft. Braden's favorite subject in school is social studies. He told me that he loves learning about history. Braden enjoys time when he gets to talk to his friends, and he also participated in the 5th grade chorus this year. Some of Braden's teachers shared some thoughts with me. They were all so wonderful, I decided to share them all. Mrs. Guerreri, who is here tonight, Braden's homeroom teacher, said that Braden is such a sweet, kind, and hardworking student. He is a great role model for the other students to look up to. He always gives 110% and never gives up. I'm so proud of all his accomplishments, and I'm so excited that he won this award. Mrs. Hawk, who is his social studies teacher, commented, Braden is an exceptionally respectful and kind young man who has a voracious love of history. Braden is often seen helping others throughout the day, as well as giving 100% on his schoolwork. I have watched Braden thrive this year because of his hard work and determination. Braden's politeness, respectfulness, and work ethic make him very deserving of this award. Ms. Castaldo, the grade 3 through 5 SLA, also stated, Braden has worked extremely hard this school year to accomplish his own learning goals. He is a dedicated, hardworking student that is extremely respectful to his peers and teachers. He has made major strides in his academic achievements this year and is very deserving of this award. Braden, we are so excited that you embody the traits that we look for in a student when selecting our Student of the Month. We are honored to have you represent Sunrise as the Elementary Student of the Month. Congratulations.
Congratulations, that's great. Yeah. Somehow I don't remember being happy.
Next, we're going to take a picture at the end with all the winners of the different levels all together. But next, we have Penn Middle, with Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Dr. Harris. Just bring you up to speed on some Penn Middle events and everything, just to make sure Trafford Middle School and Penn Middle School, Roger and I would try to mirror everything. So everything I'm talking about here is also somewhat going on at Trafford also. We just finished up Beauty and the Beast was our spring musical. Last Thursday, the 8th graders, Penn Middle and Trafford Middle 8th graders went to Gettysburg, again, to pick up where Dr. Corner, it's so wonderful to get back to kind of normal things, and it's been a 2-year hiatus for Gettysburg, and had great weather. Kids really enjoyed it. It's a fantastic learning experience. So thank you, Brett, the superintendents, the board. That's not an inexpensive trip. Upcoming events, we finished our PSSAs. We've got Algebra Keystones coming up. We also have many field trips coming up. The 6th grade's doing a J.A. Biztown and Burgettstown Bridgeville. And both the 7th and 8th grade are going to the Career Westmoreland Central Technology Center, CWCTC. We have a fundraiser in memory of our lost teacher, Jackie Landrum, coming up, the 5K, the yearbook dance, and the 8th grade farewell. So all these things are going on at Trafford also. But more importantly, Aaliyah, want to come up, please? I want to introduce Aaliyah McPherson. She's our May Student of the Month. Welcome. Aaliyah is the daughter of Seth and Heather McPherson of Manor. She has 2 sisters, Layla, a junior here at the high school, and Nava, a freshman. Aaliyah's parents share that she was a bit of a surprise. She was the best surprise for them. She was born almost exactly 1 year after her middle sister. They hadn't planned for the child so quickly, but there she was, expressive from the beginning. She thrived with her sisters, learning the ways of life with a lot of precocious skill, learning from Layla and slightly tormenting Neva. Aaliyah is no doubt intelligent. They would like to take credit, so they will. But she is also creative in different ways, musical, though she may not like to practice, athletic in so many ways, though she may not like to practice, thoughtful, caring, lives life, school, church, and all activities with a big heart for others. And that's really the best thing for them as parents. Aaliyah is not just a leader, but a servant leader who is learning to show Christ's love through her actions and words. Layla and Nava, her sisters, report that she is intelligent, hardworking, and helpful. They rarely argue and enjoy working together to improve their volleyball skills. Speaking with her teachers, they say Aaliyah is a perfect representative for Student of the Month. She's a wonderful person who is intelligent, responsible, and hardworking. Always comes to school with a smile on her face and a positive attitude. She's been a ray of sunshine since she first set foot in the building. Aaliyah does everything that is required and more. She's reliable, genuine, kind, compassionate, and humble. She strives for personal excellence, but also desires the best for all her peers. She demonstrates this by encouraging and supporting everyone she comes in contact with. She is selfless in her actions. It has been such a joy to teach her over the past 2 years. We feel Aaliyah exemplifies what we look for in a Student of the Month. We are privileged to have had the opportunity to work with her, and we are so excited to see what the future brings for this exceptional young lady. Congratulations, Aaliyah.
Congratulations. Sounds like you're applying all that God-given talent well. That's appreciated.
Next, we have the high school and Dr. Horvath.
Hello. I just let you know a little bit just going on at the high school, which is jam-packed also, since it's May. Mr. Newsom just came back from his trip to Dallas. He took the VEX robotics team that won first place last year down to the big competition. We heard from a parent, because I guess they just came back, that it was a huge event. They were so grateful to be able to go again. And we actually don't even know the results at this time, but because they just got back. The band also, I think we have someone speaking for the band today, but we wanted to
save that for.
Okay, we just wanted to say something about that too, so I guess that's going to be covered. Prom was this past weekend in a torrential downpour. It was well received actually, but there were over 500 kids that went to the prom. That's the most that there's been since I've been here in the last 6 or 7 years. And the rain didn't stop them after all of that. We were for the first time we were at, actually the second time, at Antonelli's in Irwin, and that was a nice venue, so it went very well. We also had this past last Monday, the speaker, Listen Lucy, which was a mental health speaker. It was a part of a 2-part series that we brought in to the high school for K through 12 parents. We had a social media speaker, and then this one was about mental health. And I think we're going to continue to do that next year and bring in people like that, because I think the word needs to get out, just to have help and realize you're not alone with those struggles. Our seniors, this week is their last week without interruption. Next week they'll be here, but there's keystones and things going on, so this is their last full week. So we will have our top 20 luncheon. We'll have a scholarship night on Thursday. We'll have senior in the arts showcase, and all the senior projects are finishing up at this time, so it's a pretty busy couple weeks, and then graduation, sooner than you think.
Did you mention your assembly you had today?
Oh, we had Travis Mills here as well, who was it was actually the first assembly we've had in a really long time, and I think it was very interesting. He's a veteran. He has doesn't have both of his legs, and he travels the world and talks about his struggles and how he makes the best of everything and what he's given. So it was very interesting, I think.
Amy, to supplement, he has partially every limb amputated. There's only been 5 people who've had those kind of injuries that have survived, and he was number 4. So he had quite the battle, but he does give a lot of credit to the medics that worked on him, and he is kind of turning it into a positive to help others. And that was his message, you know.
Yeah, it was very funny too. The kids actually they laughed and enjoyed him, so it was good to have that for the first assembly that they got to go to.
Yeah.
So, but that's about it. Every single day there's something going on up here. So
Very busy. All
Very
three schools,
busy.
and I thank all the principals for doing that. It's for the kids, and that's how it should be. Especially good memories sending them out the doors.
Yeah. So actually, our students of the month, I think we have somebody that's going to announce those. That would be Mr. Majernovich, right? You can announce our students of the month.
Which are also the winners of the.
We have the students that are going to the military, and then the students that won the Lions Award. So, all you.
My name's Jim Drenovich. I'm the commander of Trafford American Legion, and it's a pleasure and honor to be here to make presentations to 6 graduating seniors who will be entering the military service, and also present the American Legion School Award to a graduating young lady and young man. With me is Jim Fike. He is the Sergeant at Arms at Trafford American Legion. He will be assisting me. The first award is the American Legion School Award. The American Legion School Award exemplifies honor, leadership, patriotism, courage, selfless service, and scholarship. And with the American Legion certificate, 2 recipients will receive a large American Legion coin with the American Legion logo on one side, and the other side, those attributes stated one more time of courage, honor, leadership, patriotism, scholarship, and service. The young lady who is the recipient of the American Legion School Award, Brianna Bumball.
service after graduation. First one entering the Air Force, Nick the Army. And entering the United States Navy, Bryce Liller.
Some might not have come.
Yeah.
Some might not have.
Give them to me and, yeah.
Entering the Army National Guard, and I know he's here because he shook my hand in the lobby. Zachary Fordyce. Entering the United States Navy, Paul Campbell. Entering the United States Air Force, William Ramaley. And last but not least, entering the United States Marine Corps, Zachary Skelka. Again, it is our honor and privilege to be able to attend the meeting, first time in 3 years.
Absolutely, I'm glad you're back.
Yes, and we plan to be back.
And we're gonna get a
every
photo
year.
of you with the winners as well. We're gonna get 3 photos, one with the American Legion of winners, then one with the 6 kids going to the military, and then one with all the students in the month. So I'm gonna have 3 different photos, and Scott was nice enough to volunteer, calling to make it, to take the pictures. Yeah, if we can have the military, I know a couple of kids weren't here, the ones who are going to the military, please come up first.
What's up?
We'll go.
Huh? Yeah, that's what you gotta do for a haircut. No. How was your trip? It was great. Yeah, it was great. 60 days.
Okay.
Then Missouri, 3 months. Kansas, 2 weeks. Riley, 4 months.
started two, my kids. In fact, Gary. I didn't get an update.
I don't know if he was like from the military or something. It's being lucky. It's really good. Yeah.
Hey, Brian. He was in Greentown, you know, West Warren. I didn't recognize his name, so. You'd have known Steve.
I'm not against volume. It's only for that reason. Listen, my fear is always charter school.
Next, we also have been. All right, getting back to the meeting,
I went to the play this year.
He's over chit-chatting.
Mr. Fox.
Somebody's pounding it out.
Mr. Fox. Hi. Thank you. We're back to the meeting. We're very fortunate to have, and what we've been doing this past year is we're choosing different board meetings where we honor different teachers and different programs, and we look at different things going all throughout the year. And tonight we've chosen Mr. Fox to come because of, well, he'll explain it too, but as you can see, he has five reasons why. we've actually like to honor him tonight. Mr. Fox?
Thanks, Dr. Harris. Thank you to the board and administrators for having us this evening. This is the Penn Trafford Barbershop Harmony Society. And they are an extracurricular club. And they meet pretty much weekly, unless it's musical time, which is really hard to find. A good time to me. To kind of take a sidetrack, I was talking to them earlier. I said I realize that all of them are involved with the band.
Mr. Fox, you put the mic on too.
Is it on?
Mr. Vincent just texted me and said, put the mic on. Okay, thank you, sorry.
Good, that was rambling.
So now we're good, right? Now we're good. Second take. So thank you again for having us. Again, the Penn Trafford Barbershop Harmony Society is an extracurricular club here at the high school, and just a really talented group of individuals. We have, it varies from week to week. Some weeks we have probably close to, we've gone to 20, I think, some weeks. And then some weeks, we have 4 or 5. But they can elect to come in and to work on different repertoire in the barbershop style, which dates back, over 100 years in the United States. It's a really interesting genre. But I was saying that these are really amazing students. They're very multi-talented. They're all involved with the band. They're all involved with the choir, and they're also all involved with the drama guild, every single one of them. And most of them are involved with mock trial. So, and many other things too. And don't, this isn't a guilt session here. Single out the one who isn't.
I said there's one who's not in there, right?
Yeah, but just a great group of kids. And this is very much a student-run club, which is what we envisioned whenever I spoke to Mr. Quilio about doing it, is we really wanted students to take leadership. Nick Ferlino is our president of the club and has very much stepped forward and runs rehearsals, even goes over parts with the students. But they would like to share a couple of pieces with you today, if you would indulge them. So.
It's a quintet. It's supposed to be a quartet.
So here is my love song, not fancy or fine. Light a rose, oh, won't you be mine, be mine? Light a rose, I'm home again, rose, to put the sun back in the sky. Light a rose, I'm home again, rose, about 1,000 kisses shy. Ding dong ding, I can hear the chapel bell chime. Ding dong ding, at the least suggestion, I'll pop the question. Light a rose, I'm home again, rose, without a sweetheart to my name. Light a rose, now everyone knows that I am hoping you're the same. So here is my love song, not fancy or fine. Light a rose, oh, won't you be mine? Light a rose, oh, light a rose, oh, light a rose.
One more quick one for you, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Oh, goodbye, my Coney Island baby. Farewell, my own true love, honey. I'm gonna go away and leave you, never to see you any. Never gonna see you any. I'm gonna sail upon that ferry boat, never to return again. So goodbye.
So long forever.
Goodbye, my Coney Island. Goodbye, my Coney Island. Goodbye, my Coney Island. We all fall for some girl that dresses neat, some girl that's got traffic feet. We meet her on the street, then we'll join the army of married moves to the altar.
Just like leading lambs you slaughter.
When it's over, oh boy, we get it good. Bachelor days we then recall. Rich man, poor man, beggar man, thief, doctor, lawyer, merchant, chief. We all are bound for. Goodbye, my Coney Island baby. Farewell, my own true love,
My honey.
I'm gonna go away and leave you, never to see you any.
Never gonna see you any.
I'm gonna sail upon that ferry boat, never to return again. So goodbye.
Farewell. So long forever.
Goodbye, my Coney Island. Goodbye, my Coney Island. Goodbye, my Coney Island
Mr. Fox, why don't you introduce them?
Yes.
Please.
You can introduce yourselves if you want to get up there.
So, hello, I'm Nick Ferlino. As most of you probably know, I'm also the school board representative. I'm a senior. This is Thomas Ferlino, my brother. He's a sophomore. He's sang bass. This is Zachary Posner, a freshman. He was also singing bass. Ethan Coles, a sophomore on baritone, and Aiden Coiner, a freshman on tenor.
Mr. Where do you guys play at? Where do you guys sing at? I mean, you do all this practicing.
So we're not a performance-oriented group. We're not focused on that, though we have done performances in the past. I just had my senior project about 2 weeks ago, which was focused around this organization a lot, and we performed there. We had a vocal competition back in March that we took first place out of about 7 groups, I think, and we had a near-perfect score. We got perfect scores on 2 ballots, and on the third one, we only missed 2 points. So we were very proud of that. And we're going to be performing at the chorus concert, which is coming up this Saturday at 7 o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
What'd you guys say you call yourself?
Barbershop group.
But you said something longer than that.
No. Oh, Barbershop Harmony Society.
The Barbershop Harmony Society. We didn't have such a thing whenever I attended school here back in the 60s. But you also said you're on stage crew?
We're all in Drama Guild, as well as band, chorus, most of us.
Whenever I was on Drama Guild, I was on stage crew, and I tried out for the chorus, but I couldn't then, and I can't now carry a tune in a bucket, so that washed out. But congratulations, that's great. It's appreciated to have multiple talents like that and be willing to apply them.
Mr. Fox, did you do a press release on their club yet? For the newspaper? Well, tonight's the night. Let's get a picture. Scott? Anyways?
I don't think we have, actually.
All right.
So.
Well, after this is done, we do want to include a picture.
This is the first year for the barbershop?
Yeah, it's taken many years to get put together with COVID, and Nick had this as a part of his senior project. I guess it started out in middle school, just with a YouTube video. But I was involved with Barbershop in college at West Virginia, which was really a great experience for me. And he really took to it. He's like, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then finally, he wore me down senior year. We put it together. So.
Well, you anticipate this to keep going since you have underclassmen, right?
Absolutely. And we also have some female singers as well. Sweet Adelaides, they weren't able to come this evening, but there's actually more male interest right now, which is really interesting because it's usually the flip side. Usually more girls are interested in choir and less guys, but for this particular ensemble, there are more guys.
What's your plans after you graduate?
I'm going to be attending Duquesne University as part of the Honors College to major in political science and Spanish, with plans to go to law school afterwards.
And Nick, tell them the nicest part about going to Duquesne.
I received a full tuition scholarship for my academics. Thank you all very much for giving us the opportunity to perform. We really appreciate it.
Any questions? We can't get a picture while you're here.
I do think.
Yeah, you should take it.
Mr. Fox, are you ever gonna end with the youth voice?
Maybe like.
They're very good.
That's impressive. Very impressive.
I mean, he had the lead in the music. He hasn't got the.
Our meetings be a lot more fun.
It'll be a lot longer, unfortunately. Yes, I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, he does. He is.
Mr. Fox, thank you for coming.
Yeah,
If your
thank you.
students want to go, I understand.
Thank you very much.
And we normally do our visitors after, I still have a budget presentation and something else, but would you care to go first?
You're asking if I want to go before the budget?
Yes. All right, Brad. Wise decision.
Okay,
Thank
we
you for
have
that.
a procedure we have to follow with any audience recognition input. So I'll just read through it. You must state your name, address, and group affiliation, if any. Your statement will be limited to 5 minutes. All statements shall be directed to the president, and no participant may address or question a board member individually. You may be interrupted if your statement is too lengthy, personally direct, abusive, obscene, irrelevant. We know none of that's going to happen. And I have a list of the residents who wish to address the board, and you're the first and the last on that list, Brad Cassavant.
So thank you, board. Thank you for having me. My name is Brad Cassavant. If you don't know where I live, you obviously haven't driven down Paintertown Road, because I have a big road sign announcing my driveway. So I live on Paintertown Road. What else did I have to answer?
That's good.
That's good enough. I'm here representing really both myself as a parent and the Band Parent Association. So yes, we'll be talking about the band. Hopefully my time hasn't started yet. So I do want to communicate just a very simple message here tonight. And again, representing myself as a parent, my daughter, the one rolling her eyes over here, also as a Band Parent Association member, maybe being voted in as vice president here this week. But my message to you is this, it's very simple, is thank you. Last month's meeting, you voted yes to send the indoor percussion group, the ensemble, to the World Championships held in Dayton, Ohio. And I'm definitely not going to pretend to understand what goes into the discussions leading up to a vote like that. But what I know is that you voted yes. Perhaps you fully understand everything that both goes into and comes out of an experience like the World Championships. But I can tell you that as a parent, and as a member of the Band Parent Association, I did not. So I was hoping to take a few moments just to apply some context and some background to what happened and what happens during something like this. So the indoor percussion group, there's 13 members, 5 are here with me tonight. Really starts practicing in December. There's some informal stuff that goes on. Starts to get cranked up in January. Competition season starts in mid-February and runs through the World Championships, which are in late April each year. Over the course of this season, the student musicians spend hundreds of hours rehearsing for the various competitions. And the competitions include local competitions, Hempfield, Kiski, Mount Lebanon. We actually hosted 2 here this year. So in addition to the local competitions, we travel to larger regional competitions. This year they traveled to 2. One was in Indianapolis, and another one happened to be also in Dayton for the regionals. At each of the regional competitions, there were 3 schools that competed within their class. Our Penn Trafford group finished second out of the 3 schools in each one of those, behind apparently the very mighty East Central High School out of Indiana. The shows themselves, if you're not familiar with them, are just logistical wonders. And if you're going to ask questions at the end, please don't ask about the Dayton Arena. We rarely get to see any of the other schools perform due to how things are run. The World Championships, however, are different. They're big. There were 10 schools from around the country competing within their class. which of course included the mighty East Central High School from Indiana. On the first day of the championships, all 10 schools performed their preliminary performance. Penn Trafford, our ensemble, scored the highest score of the 10 schools. The top 5 schools are then asked to perform again on the second day, which was Friday, in the finals. Those were held at the Wright State University Basketball Arena. And here's where the World Championships are a little bit different than the other competitions. So instead of the ensembles being escorted one at a time down a hallway to a doorway, which leads to the performance area, in the World Championships and the finals, they entered a very large gymnasium, so large that it was actually divided in half by this massive curtain hanging floor to ceiling. On one side of the curtain was the performance area, and on the other side of the curtain was just a cueing area where all of the ensembles lined up. They lined up in reverse order or in order of their performances, which put us right next to, and in some places, second place school, which was East Central High School, so the major competitor at this point. It was intimidating, to say the least. You essentially listened to your competitors compete. The applause, the PA announcer, big and bold, announcing who you were, who they were. You could hear them on the other side of the curtains. And there we stood for 20 minutes, next in line, next in line. So at last week's, I'm gonna break for a second. At last week's spring band concert, Mr. C brought Coach Ruane onto the stage, and during the introduction, he talked briefly about the performance of the team this year, particularly how they performed in some very high-stress situations towards the end of the year. And he made some comments pertaining to, the preparation and the confidence that really allowed them to have success, to perform at a high level. And I would contend that walking through the curtain in that gymnasium, from the cueing area to the performance area, would match anything that you could possibly throw at somebody in terms of stress. My only job was to push a marimba, and my heart was racing like you wouldn't believe. I truly don't know how these 5 and the other 8 found the composure within themselves to focus and perform their piece. So here we go. We walk through the curtain. The PA announcer, big and bold, from Harrison City, Pennsylvania. Please welcome Penn Trafford High School. The arena goes silent. These guys performed the best score in the world for their class for musical composition. Second day in a row. It was awesome. It's also something that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't voted yes. So, managing anxiety, performing under stress, committing to something, sticking with it even when it gets hard. I think everybody here would agree those are life skills that need to be learned, and taking nothing away from the things that happen within the walls of this school. But I think all of us would agree some lessons are just better learned in the right environment. Sometimes that's outside the walls of these schools. Someday, these students they're going to be placed in a situation where these life skills need to be called upon. Maybe work, maybe school, maybe some sort of a social situation. Maybe a parenting situation will raise some stress in their lives, who knows. Each one of them is going to have this opportunity, this chance to look back on something. They walked through the curtain, and they performed at their very, very best. I'm sure the staff and Mr. Cornelius would say that they're better musicians for it. It's also clear that they're just better people. So, as a parent, thank you. Not just for my daughter, but for all 13 of them. And as a member of the Band Parent Association, we kind of like what we do. We enjoy the opportunity to support the kids. That's our goal, right? So thank you. Thank you for your time. I did invite the kids here just to be here in front of you for recognition, to hear the words. If you've got any questions, please direct them to them.
Can they introduce them too? As well?
Yeah, absolutely.
Introduce themselves.
Hi, thank you for having us here tonight, by the way. My name is Anna Graves. I'm a junior. This is Nick McCracken. He is a senior. Delaney Cassavant, a sophomore. Megan McCracken, a sophomore. And Isabella Mateo, an 8th grader from Penn Middle School. So we greatly appreciate your support in allowing us to go to World Championships and supporting us through this. It was a fantastic experience for everyone involved, and we're super grateful for you guys and the band parents, our staff, and each other. So thank you.
Well, before, because of COVID, was this the first time a lot of you were able to go somewhere?
Everyone except one.
In 2019, I was fortunate enough to go and have a full competitive season. That year, I was in 8th grade, so I was super grateful to be allowed to be in the ensemble that year. So in 2019, we went to 2 regionals and World Championships again. 2019, we also placed second at World Championships. And then 2020, the season was cut short, just days before we were supposed to leave for a regional, actually. Last year, the 2021 season, we had a virtual season, so each week we would submit videos and recordings of our show, and considering the circumstances, we did super well. And then this year, with a lot of new talent and new faces in the ensemble, we achieved great things for us, and I'm super proud of everybody in the group, and I think all of the band parents and the staff and everybody involved can agree that it is a major accomplishment for all of us. So
congratulations.
Thank you.
Go down the line, instruments. What do you guys play?
So I played marimba and vibraphone this year.
I played piano in the ensemble.
I played marimba. I also played marimba. And then I played a bass part on the piano and the voiceovers during the performance.
And for a senior, are you going to do something with the band next year when in your future?
Yeah, I actually just got accepted 2 days ago into the University of Akron drumline. So. So yeah, I'll be very busy in the fall.
You know what, I knew a lot of kids who went off and they continued to band, and the one young lady told me she got to go to like Scotland, and I mean everything she went to, she said because of the band, and she said she never would have had those opportunities, and she was listing these unusual countries that, and she just said it was just every year they had for college 2 to 3 different places to go, and all the opportunities. Her instrument was a clarinet gave her, so I think that's just wonderful. So I'm glad you're taking some opportunities. I'm glad you're continuing. That's what we want to see.
Thank you.
And can you tell us about your trophy?
Oh, yeah, so this...
what you placed, but I just want to make sure it's repeated, because I think...
So we were first heading into prelims, and then we finished second overall at World Championships in Dayton. That's great. So the medal is from the same spot, second, and then so is the trophy.
Oh, that's excellent. Did Colleen Kelly get a press release on this already? I know
It was in the newspaper today.
It was see, I didn't read the paper today. Okay. She's ahead of us. Thanks, Colleen. I just watch it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank each one of you parents. I guess a lot of parents represented here, and Mr. Cassavant, seems like you're the leadership speaker, for all the effort you put in. And
only tonight.
I'm sure you're being modest. You probably had to help in other ways, but and you students and the ones that are and aren't here, we greatly appreciate how well you've represented the district and made us proud, and we really appreciate all the effort you put in. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And for information, I have a couple more things. I'm going to turn it over to our budget manager, Brad Lego. He's going to do a presentation, because this is May. As you know, every May we're doing budget time, and all the school districts across the Westmoreland County and the state of PA are doing the same presentations. And I'm going to actually move so he can actually do. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bujakowski.
Thank you.
Mr. Leonard, you might have to move too slightly.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're too tall.
Mr. Fox, just so you know, I'm not gonna sing or play an instrument, so if you wanna feel free to leave too. I mean, I don't wanna hold you up here.
Mr. Leonard, I'll put a seat right here next to Marty.
Not quite as exciting as the rest of the performers today. Okay, so this is our annual exercise in futility. I think this is the 20th budget presentation I've made here at Penn Trafford, and it never gets any easier. We have the same challenges from year to year, some years more challenging than others. But this year we're going to try to present you a budget that is funds all the programs we need to fund, and yet it tries to keep the taxpayers in mind to minimize any increases that we have to pass along to them. So I'll hit the highlights, then feel free to ask me any questions as we go along. And later in the agenda tonight, we'll ask you to approve the preliminary budget. Now, a lot can happen between now and final adoption in June. The biggest uncertainty we face is what the state is going to fund us at. The governor has proposed the largest increase in basic education funding in years. It's unlikely that his proposal will get funded in full. So we've taken a conservative approach to what that number may look like. But if it comes in more favorable and is an increase over what's been happening in the last couple of years, then we'll have the ability to make some adjustments, either add some additional positions, which Dr. Harris and Mr. Inglace feel we could really use, and or reduce the preliminary increase to the taxes that we're going to propose tonight. So what drives the budget? Well, as basically every year, salary costs continue to increase. We all know that we have one of the most beneficial contracts with our professional staff. It's a very compared to our counterparts in Westmoreland County, we're right near the top in terms of what we can offer our teachers in terms of compensation. That also goes to our administrative staff and our custodial staff. So those salaries continue to increase based on the contracts we've negotiated. Cyber charter tuition continues to be an issue. It continues to grow. COVID has driven a lot of these kids looking for alternative education. Those costs continue to rise, and the state has been very reluctant to address the inequity that exists within the way the charter schools are funded. So those costs continue to rise. We continue to see increases year over year. And this year we don't have any attrition. We haven't been able to reduce any positions. Our enrollment continues to grow, our programs continue to grow, and we've actually, in the preliminary budget, have an addition of 5 more positions. If possible, that number may even increase by the time we pass the final budget. So last year, we had a revenue budget of $60.1 million. Our expenditures are $60.9 million. So we budgeted a deficit of almost $800,000, which when we look at the growth in our tax real estate revenues, we've covered most of that deficit. So we look to have pretty much a break-even budget by the end of this year. A similar situation for next year. Our current revenues are at $63 million, an increase of $2.8 million over last year. Expenditures are at $63.5 million, or an increase of $2.6 million. So a 4.7% increase in revenue, a 4.3% increase in our expenditures. This slide's a little bit hard to see, but essentially our local revenues are up $700,000. That mostly is attributed to the growth in the real estate. Now, we've also had growth in earned income and in our real estate transfers because our economy is doing well in Penn Township. What's a little bit different about this year is this is the first year that I recall that we've actually had the gaming money in the preliminary budget. usually our budget is passed before the state releases that number. So the big increase in the state revenue is a reflection of showing those dollars, which are $1.2 million, which is also significant because since the inception of that program, we've been getting about $1 million a year in gaming revenue to help offset local property taxes. And you'll see later what the effect of that is. This year, it's up to $1.2 million. So I guess post-COVID, people are getting out and they're hitting the slot machines pretty hard because the gambling revenue is up significantly. Federal revenue, we still have COVID dollars coming in. Most of those are for one-time expenditures. We're awaiting final approval of our ESSERS 3 monies. $460,000 of that, what you see in the budget, is for, it's a 20% set aside for learning loss. Dr. Harris has set those dollars aside for certain programs to address remediation efforts. And the remaining of it, we have applied for funds to do some capital improvements, a roof at McCullough, some doors district-wide, some new boilers. So we're waiting for approval for all those, but those dollars aren't reflected in the budget because they have not yet been approved. So our significant revenue changes, our mill continues to increase. We continue to gain year over year. You know, new construction here in the district is going strong, and it's been reflected in what we're collecting. We have seen an increase in our basic ed subsidy this year. Now, that's not final, and we're hoping that it comes in over the 1.5% that we currently have budgeted, and that could be a significant improvement in the final budget in June. Special education also has a significant increase in it. And our federal funding, again, is pretty much stable over last year, depending on what happens with the COVID final approvals. So again, local revenues make up about 55%, state revenues 43%, and federal monies 1.5%. So the local taxpayer continues to pay the biggest portion of our budget, and that has been increasing year over year. On the expenditure side, again, the bulk of our money goes into the instruction. So we have an increase of $2.1 million, or 5.9%. That, again, is reflected by the increases in our salaries based on our negotiated agreements, or the increase in our 5 new positions, and our overall benefit increases. Now, our retirement contributions didn't increase that significantly, even though they're still at 35% of salary, but healthcare costs are up 5% this year, so that's a pretty significant increase. Our support programs up $450,000, 2.4%. Non-instruction, which is our extracurriculars and athletics, up 1.4%. And our other financing, which is our debt services, level funded, which it has been for several years. That number will start to decrease next year, and the board may want to consider, you know, some flexibility there to start planning for a future building project, which I think, you know, needs to be on the horizon. So again, expenditures are up $2.6 million, or 4.37%. Again, increases our salaries due to not only the teacher's contract, but, you know, the contracts we have with our support staff and our administration, the addition of 5 professional staff, increase in cyber charter costs, and we have seen some increases in our security costs. Some of those dollars are COVID related, so they're coded under security, but they relate to COVID related items. Again, 61.5% of our budget goes to our instructional programs. That's really where we want to be spending our dollars, in the classroom. 38% goes to our support. A lot of that would be, that's where our administrative staff is, our nurses, our libraries, our custodial maintenance staff, our transportation, technology. Those are the kind of items that we find under our support. Again, 5% is our debt service, and 3.2% would be extracurriculars and athletics. again, you have this information. This just breaks it down by our regular programs, our special programs, the vocational ed. But the bulk of the budget's going to be up in that first line item, our regular education programs. They make up 52.96% of our budget. So the bulk of every dollar we spend goes into our regular classrooms. The other biggest areas of the budget would be our custodial maintenance is about 10%, special education 7.5%, and transportation about 6%. So you can see those dollars kind of are dwarfed by what we spend on our regular ed programs. So our proposal for next year as the preliminary budget, remember preliminary, this is just our starting point. This can be reduced next month, it can be increased next month. But for the preliminary budget, we're proposing the millage be increased from 88.25 to 90.55. I'm sorry, that should be 90.25, typo there. So a 2 mil increase. What does that mean to the median assessed value, which currently, according to the state's $27,700. So at 88.25 mils, your tax bill would be $2,444. At 90.25 mils would be $25,6225 for an increase of $117.72. So just under $10 a month. With the homestead exemption increasing from about $130 last year to $165 this year. So part of that increase is going to be offset by the increase in the homestead exemption. Our fund balance right now, as we stand, looks to be close to $10 million. We would recommend that we keep $5 million unassigned, so that's basically available for any purpose, any unexpected expenditure that may come up, anything that's out of the ordinary that may happen during the course of the year. Our assigned fund balance, which is a dedicated fund balance we set aside for capital improvements, construction, building projects, or increases in PSERs. Now, we've never had to use it for PSERs. We have used these dollars in the past to do some capital projects. If the board decides to do a renovation, you know, one of the considerations is replacing the administration building, which is, you know, dating back to 1897. We could use some of that money from the assigned fund balance to pay and not affect the general fund. So that's our recommendation in terms of what.
Mr. Lego.
Yes, sir.
Is there a suggested unassigned balance the state requires us or strongly suggests that we keep on hand?
A minimum of 5% and a maximum of 8% in the unassigned. So available for any purpose.
Percent of budget?
Percent of budget. So 8% of $63 million, which is just around $5 million. So we try to keep it at that. And, you know, for some of you who were here when I started, Mr. Petrucci and Mr. Kachasik a month later, we basically had zero fund balance when I started. I mean, 0%. The state cited us for not having sufficient fund balance. So we don't want to have excessive amounts, and that's why, you know, some of these assigned dollars, I think we, you know, can really rightfully use. But to have that cushion for future boards and for future unanticipated expenditures or lack of revenue, we really should try to stay in that range.
Mr. Longo.
Yes.
It says their total fund balance is 10 million in round numbers.
Yes.
Recommended unassigned 5, assigned 5. What are the assigned numbers, the unassigned numbers now of that 10?
Right now, at the end of last year, they were 5 million and 3 million, I believe. At the end of last year, but we finished fiscal year 21 with a $10 million fund balance, which we're anticipating the same fund balance at the end of this year.
So then it's recommended 5 and 5, and it is 5 and 5, basically.
Well, it's not 5 and 5 yet because we haven't made this assignment. We always do this in June. We make the assignment in June.
And could you explain a little bit about the homestead exemption? How does that affect the budget? What does that do? Individuals and the budget?
Well, it doesn't do anything to the budget because it's a dollar for dollar offset. So if the state gives us $1.2 million in homestead monies, we have to reduce our real estate taxes by $1.2 million. And those dollars go directly against someone's tax bill who has an approved homestead. So if your tax bill is $2,400, they'll knock off $160. And that goes for everybody, the same amount, $160.
Now, you say an approved homestead. Who all in our district has approved homesteads? And do the people know they have to apply for these homestead exemptions?
They have to apply for the homestead exemptions. That information comes out through the county tax assessment office. We have approximately 7,800 approved homesteads between Westmoreland and Allegheny, the few Allegheny County properties we have.
And how do you apply?
You have to own your home and live in it.
So, out of ignorance, I guess I probably never applied until, if that makes sense.
If you applied once, your exemption goes on. You don't have to do it from year to year. And when this first was put into place, and it's probably been close to 10 years ago now, I mean, the county made a pretty big push to make sure that everybody was notified. But if you're not sure, I would check with the tax collector. And he'll let you know. And if not, it's a very simple one-page application that you get through the county. And it would be too late for this year because it has to be in by March 31st of every year. You are welcome.
Mr. Legg, I'm sorry I didn't quite see it here, but a lot of people don't realize that charter schools and cyber schools aren't free because we pay for it.
Correct.
Approximately how much of our budget has gone for cyber, charter, or students that do not attend our school district, our brick and mortar?
Somewhere around $2 million a year.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
$2 million approximately.
Goes for people that don't attend school, but we pay for it, so it comes out of our budget.
They take that, well, we pay the schools directly. If we don't, the state just deducts it from our subsidy. But it's somewhere in the ballpark of $2 million right now, yes.
But that's only charter schools, that's not other private schools. Like if some people choose to send their children to Catholic school or whatever.
Well, Catholic schools, we don't pay, we only pay for transportation if they're within our boundaries. So we don't pay Catholic schools directly. The only tuition that we need to pay for kids is for cyber schools and charter schools. Cyber schools, which are considered charter schools as well.
Dr. Harris, do you know how many kids go to cyber and charter schools?
I have the number, and actually increased. I think I want to say 96 at one point, but it might probably go a little higher.
Yeah, it's somewhere around 100. Yeah.
And it costs $2 million a year.
A little higher than that.
And there's some, so the $2 million would include some other charges outside of just the cyber, but I think the cyber is, Matt's right about 100, somewhere around there.
It'll be cyber and charter.
Cyber and charter. But then we also have included in that $2 million number, we have out-of-district special education placements, which go into that number as well. So there are kids that we're paying tuition for somewhere outside that, not necessarily a cyber charter school, but they're in that number also. So again, we will be, monitoring what's happening in Harrisburg to make a determination if that number can be adjusted. And certainly, we'll take any input that you all have. We can have a further discussion next month before we have to finalize the budget. And, if we can see that it's fiscally responsible to reduce the amount of that tax increase, we certainly will. But, we have some other discussions again that I think, we'll be having going forward in terms of future building projects, what the district's gonna look like 5-10 years from now. Do we start planning for that right now? Again, the discussion on the administration building potentially, what other kind of staffing things that we may want to achieve before next year. These are all things we can talk about before we pass the final budget next month. Any other questions I can answer right now? And again, as I say, every year, if you think of anything, you got my phone number, my email, call me, text me. I'm happy to try to answer any questions, provide any additional information that you may need. If there's nothing else, thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have any questions for the extra positions I put into the budget, or resources, or different things that you have suggestions for, contact me as well.
Do you have any idea off the top of your head, either one of you guys, are we still second, I want to guess, in cost per pupil in Westmoreland County?
Yeah.
Yes.
Behind Norwin?
Yes.
Second lowest.
Second lowest is what I meant.
Yeah. So remember, we are bottom 5% of the states.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
Well, I would assume that the positions you're requesting is an increase in class size or just general increase in enrollment.
Yeah, we have significant enrollment in some of our schools, and different things, so it's not like we're adding extra positions, we're basing everything on enrollments.
And what's our average classroom sizes currently?
At the elementary, we try to keep everything under 20, 22, and at the middles, like for the, especially K to 3, for the middles, sometimes the 4 and 5, we have some more students. We try to keep it low. We try to get the students at the elementary age, and as you know, from our last 10 years, our elementary scores have performed outstanding on all the state achievement tests.
So our current enrollment is still around 20-ish?
Yeah, if we did
per
elementary K
class.
to 2. Dr. Corner, what do you currently have at your building K to 2? I know 3 to 5 is a little bit more.
Yes, my kindergarten class has 18, I think, 18, 19. My first grade classes all are just under 20. My second grade is a bubble class, and so they have 22 kids in a class. My third grade is under 20, and fourth and fifth are at 20 or above.
We got such dismal poor results from your classes. What you guys, about number 2 in the state or something?
Yeah, Sunrise itself, I grew over 40 students in 1 year. My enrollment this year was last year from 2020 to 2021 increased by 40 students. That's more than 2 class sizes. And I'm supposed to go up again next year. So the enrollment is definitely, I'm running out of rooms in my building to hold homeroom teachers. I'm going to have to reconfigure some spaces next year.
Dr. Corner, question, you say you went up 40 kids.
Mm-hmm.
From what to what? I'm trying to get a.
Yeah, so last year I was just around 371, I believe, if I would have to go back and look at the exact number, and this year I'm at 411.
Okay, so that's over 10%.
Yeah,
About
that's
4 or 5
correct.
years ago, she was right around 299.
That is
She
correct.
dipped under 300
Yes.
at one point.
I'm back over 400, and I think next year I'll be closer to 420, maybe 425.
And remember, last year we had to add a second grade, the year before we added a first grade, so we have been adding the grades as the kids expand. And sometimes our classes go down the following year and we can move the teacher up, but
Right.
sometimes you just can't do it because the class size is so big come up, so it's.
So when the population increases in a given area, how do you guys determine which school to send these kids to?
We have our same boundaries we've always had.
Right now, we have room in all of the buildings, but that is quickly ending.
We're watching
We're running out of
McCullough
room.
grow and getting a
Right,
bit
right
more.
now, the enrollments in the middle schools are relatively low compared to what they've been, historically, and high school's low right now, but that elementary enrollment is going to eventually get to the middle and high school, but we do have, we're low right now in middle school and high schools.
Which elementary school's grown fastest?
McCullough.
Well, and Sunrise is.
No, but Harrison Park used to be the largest elementary in the district. They are no longer.
Right.
McCullough has surpassed them by a long shot, and I'm creeping up to almost past Harrison Park. So, yeah,
With all the new
it has
development
changed.
that's coming out, it just seems like these 3 areas, the 3 schools have the most development.
How about Trafford and Level Green? How are they? Their enrollment's growing?
I would say they're holding steady. Level Green's probably increased a little bit.
Level Green doesn't have any, if we have to add another classroom in Level Green, we'll be in trouble because
No room.
there aren't any more rooms left at Level Green. At Trafford, there's potentially one if we take the reading specialist classroom, but there's not much room left.
Are any buildings going down?
Actually, at
Harrison
the
Park?
Harrison Park, I
Harrison
guess,
Park
yeah.
has
drop down, but they are having that new community where the golf course was, that's coming.
Yeah, I heard her say that you guys are passing, getting to a point where you're passing. I
Yeah,
didn't
I'm
know
not
whether
that far
meant
away from Harrison Park right now, yeah.
Was actually going down, or they were just
It's-
holding steady?
They're kind of holding steady.
Okay.
Versus decreasing.
Are we approaching the numbers we saw in the, well, not we, Nick would know this.
Yeah, when I started at
In the
Sunrise, there were
90s
over
is when we
500
spiked.
kids in the building, but that was when we didn't have
4,800
extras,
kids.
like, the rooms were used for different purposes at that
That's
point.
true,
Yeah.
that's true. We specialize a lot more.
Yes,
than
that's
we
correct.
ever have.
Yeah.
Classroom sizes were a lot higher.
They
too.
were,
There was
yeah.
high 20s and
Yes, that's correct.
I think the big difference is you have to really realize how we utilize the spaces now compared to what we did 10, 20 years ago. One of the biggest issues is for our special needs students, we have a number of life skills classrooms, emotional support classrooms, special ed classrooms that were typically regular classrooms, which held a third or fourth grade classrooms, and we would put those kids were typically either mainstreamed in or they were farmed out to other facilities outside the district. So we keep them all in-house, and those rooms are taking the place of the classrooms that we used to have. And also our specials, we used to have art on a cart. We wouldn't have a dedicated art classroom. The art teacher would roll into the room with a cart. And the music, same thing. We put music up on a stage, or we put music in a closet, so to speak, and that's how we did things. So we don't want to go back to that. So things are a little
I think
different.
that's where a lot of us maybe don't see the picture. We think of a classroom as just a standard instruction, but a lot of the classrooms nowadays are being taken for other reasons, and we don't account that in.
But aren't those special needs groups grouped in sentence? A certain school has most of them.
Yeah, we put emotional support classrooms in different parts of the district, and that changes, but every couple of years we have to reconfigure them. But yes, they are. Some kids from Harrison Park, for example, are at Level Green, yes.
So you basically see where the bulk is, and that's usually where it's set up?
Well, every 2 years, Mr. Carazia has to reevaluate and put that classroom in different parts of the district. There's some special ed regulations he has to adhere to do that.
But years ago, we had the majority of our special ed classrooms through the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit. And a lot of those kids then were being shipped to other schools because they
Exactly.
were sharing space. So a lot of those kids that were out of district are now back with us.
And keep in mind, when we have a life skills classroom or emotional support classroom, we may only have 5 or 10 kids in a room that's usually equipped to handle 20, 25 kids.
If I interrupt, Mr. Iglesias, I have a life skills classroom which I got approximately 10 years ago. And about 20 years ago when I became a principal, it was, like Mr. Iglesias said, students went to different areas. So my life skills program, when Ron Dare was the principal and I was the assistant, those rooms, as they said, were used for instruction. So I have 3 rooms right now for my life skills program. One is their classroom. The other is their apartment where they do skill building things. And the third is the sensory room that you have to have to accommodate some of their IEPs. So there's 3 rooms that were 10, 15 years ago were taught in. Now they're completely for my life skills program. Now, law says they should be here. It's better that they're here. I think it's more fiscally responsible for us to have them here rather than send them out. So, it's just a different way of looking at your classroom space.
But if we had 4,700 kids like we did back then, it'd be almost impossible to accommodate those kind of programs.
That's correct.
When the elementary bubble, I'm a numbers guy, and I'm looking at the elementary numbers. The elementary numbers get to the middle schools, we could have some troubles. We could be.
Well, that's why we're having troubles right now.
Right.
We're all the elementary schools are having troubles figuring out how to manage next year.
Because we also added Head Start at 3 of our elementary schools, which also takes a whole entire room. And I do like to keep my Head Start program because it's students who get some education every day prior to going to kindergarten. So, and we have 60 throughout the district, 60 students. So. Any other questions? And with all the enrollment and stuff, and enrollment increases and everything going on, that's one of the reasons we'll be talking about in the upcoming months, maybe doing a feasibility study, because to make sure we're in the process of handling all the students and enrollment and future enrollment. So that's the kind of things on the agenda for the future. I know we can get to the more budget questions at the time when you vote on it, but I do have one more item for information, and that also involves the admin building. As you know, we've talked before regarding the needs of the admin building, which includes HVAC, roof, doors, windows, foundation concerns, well over $1.2 million in repairs for a building that was built in 1897, and that's the last thing we want to do is to spend any additional funds on that building. On Wednesday, we did have core architecture review the admin building to determine the safety of the building, and it was determined that we should be good for 5 years based on what they observed. They do recommend eventually moving out of the admin building due to the renovation needs and the associated costs. So it is safe to currently be in the building, but it's something that we need to look more into. Just for the study, we received the price of the building a new admin building, and the cost for an 8,000 square feet building was actually $2.5 to $3 million, and that's using our existing land. So we weren't even inquiring any new land for the district, so we immediately threw that option out because that is actually not what we were looking forward to in doing. But this also led us to review some potential properties that were on sale in the district in order to save some funds. Each property was either too small or too big, or the renovation costs for some properties would be too costly. As of now, we're still exploring some options, but I do have an action item on tonight to authorize the admin to enter into negotiations for the purchase of a new admin building if one would arise. Because that is something we need to kind of look at and take a little bit more seriously during the next, either upcoming months or the next 5 years. Does anyone have any questions about the admin building?
You had said something that it piqued my interest. Should a property become available and it has extra space, you said that that could possibly be used to alleviate some of the pressure out of the classrooms.
Well, I know that would be nice if we could do an admin building / Head Start program.
I'm just asking.
Yeah, I would actually
And
agree to that.
how many
because
classrooms could that potentially save?
3. Right now we have 3 Head Starts, and actually, if we do it that way, we could potentially create 5 Head Start spaces, because the only reason we're not adding extra is because of the lack of space.
Okay.
What about moving the other programs into a place like that, or does it need to be central?
We
to
want to
the
do it with, we
elementary?
want to keep those programs within the schools.
So, how much space do we have right now in our admin building?
It's under 10,000, Brett?
Around 10,000, yes.
Okay, so if we went and got a building that was comparable in size, that really wouldn't give us room to do something like the Head Start programs there.
Oh, correct. If we just had what we have now, we could only just do what we're using.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the places we saw were nice, but then they were actually larger than what we actually needed.
Yeah, I wonder with everything that's being said tonight, are they really larger than what we really needed?
There's potential there to use the extra space if we needed to.
Mm-hmm.
Is the Head Start program funded by the state?
They actually fund everything, and they actually pay us, each building receives $5,000 stipend just for having the Head Start program in the building. So, but we don't actually have any of the expenses, other than general, what do we spend on cleaning the room with our custodial staff.
So the current administration building is pretty, we don't use our space very efficiently. There's a couple of wide open spaces that we don't make best use of.
Yeah, at one point in time, we had a boardroom.
And we don't use that now.
We don't actually use it. We do an admin meeting, but we could technically come up to the high school if we had to for our admin meetings. And we don't do our board meetings there. We've always moved them to the high school, probably since I've been superintendent, at least the last 9 years we've been up to the high school. I bet. Yeah.
So it seems to be that the holding board meetings in this facility work well for us.
Yeah, I
We'll
think
probably
this
just
works
stick with that.
much better, yeah.
And if we look at the admin building, it's in round numbers, maybe 8,000 square feet that's needed or used. I think that's what our design was, for around 8,000.
We did have that design, and when the prices came in, I mean, we just wanted something basic we're hoping for, and we were using our own lands, we're not even buying new land, and they estimated it as that, and that's just, we don't wanna spend that much money on it.
So if we were to find a building that was, just for sake of discussion, around 30,000 square feet, that was nice, in good shape, a good price, and we would enter into a possibility of purchasing that building, what else could we use it for? Head Start was one. Could you put classrooms in there?
If we had I don't know how we would, because we'd have the kids in the school buildings, I'm not sure what they would use it for.
The only possibility would maybe be for kindergarten, because the parents do transportation there.
How many kindergarten classes?
Oh, we have
Plus,
two or three kindergartens each building.
Wouldn't you need cafeteria and gym facilities?
Not if you do kindergarten, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
I mean if you did
If you did grades 1, 2, and 3, you would need, that's a whole nother problem. So to his point, I think the Head Start and or kindergarten would work if you found a building for admin that had some extra space, yes.
And again, I'll reiterate the question, how many kindergartens? We said we have 3 current Head Start, so that'd be 3 potential classes going there. How many kindergarten classes could we transplant in there?
Depending on, if it's 30,000 square feet, depending on what the building looks like.
Well, I think you know what the building I'm thinking about, just thinking about looks like.
Remember, you have a morning and afternoon kindergarten, Mr. Leonard, so like at McCullough, there's 2 mornings and 2 afternoons, so there's 4 classes there, but it would take 2 classrooms to do it. If that makes sense?
But I'm not sure, I mean, it does, but I'm not sure, like, if we get to the point where we don't have rooms, that's one thing. I'm not sure if I would want to have my kindergarten students outside of the elementary school building.
We're just thinking food for thought, just,
Yeah, I'm just
you gotta
saying.
think outside the box here. If we're running out
Absolutely, we would have other uses.
If you're running out of room,
Head Start would definitely
take
be a
every room we can get.
Yeah, and as I said, the building I'm thinking about is, I think it's 30,000 roughly. But then don't you not run into transportation and logistics where if you were gonna bring a kindergarten kids in there, their parents would be driving a lot farther and things of that nature?
They would have to because, remember, right now, transportation's one way, by the, school buses.
Yeah.
The AM kids, they ride by school buses, the parents pick them up half day. The PM students, they get dropped off half day in the afternoon and they take the school bus home.
Parents bring Head Start? They have to.
Head Start is completely 100% by parents.
To Dr. Harris's point, Head Start would be the optimal solution, but kindergarten, it would be, separated from the main building. The principal wouldn't be able to effectively deal with those classrooms and supervise the teachers. But I mean, it could be done, but it's not ideal.
The Head Start too, you'd have to get transportation for those kids, because most of them live right in the community where they go, right?
Well, some are actually from other districts as well.
Oh, okay.
How Head Start works is if Penn Trafford gets the first crack at all the spaces, and if their space is right before school starts, they do let students from outside the district. But the first choice is Penn Trafford, but there's 20 spots, and if there's 2 or 3 empty spots, they will let anyone take it at that point. And Karen, I think you did yours. How many did you have from PT?
I actually asked them, I have, didn't I say 19 of the 20?
19 of the 20
are
were Penn
coming to
Trafford.
PT, not Sunrise,
Yeah.
coming to PT. And then the classroom at McCullough, I think it was like 17 of the 20 are coming to PT. So most of the kids that sign up for our pre-K or Head Start programs come back to the district. There's very, very few that don't. And most likely they're probably Jeanette or on that side, or maybe Gateway.
Okay, well, who's ever the closest to us, because the parents still have to drive.
Yeah.
Okay, is that everything for information?
Any other questions about the admin ruling, or just different things?
Okay, then it's time we'll move on to old business, and seeing no old business, I will then announce that we held Board of Directors convened for executive session this afternoon at 5:15 PM, at which time we discussed personnel, attorney advisory, and real estate. Now it's time for the consent agenda. Is there any board member that would wish to have anything removed from the consent agenda for separate action?
I do, Mr. President. It's, what was it, E? It's E, the budget and finance, the CWCTC budget. Just like to have Mr. Nemick read that, please.
That would be item E. Okay, so we will put E, Mr. Nemick, under your budget and finance.
Right.
Number E, okay. Other than that, with E being removed, I would like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda with that.
Motion.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Question.
Question on a motion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. Now, we'll go to budget and finance, Mr. Nemick.
Thank you, Mr. President. Let's see, where are we at? Move to adopt a resolution approving the 2022-2023 proposed budget for the Central Westmoreland Career and Technology Center in the amount of $9,180,283. The anticipated cost to the Penn Trafford School District is $545,495. General fund budget expenditures $8.668 million. Proposed cost to districts $7.8 million. Proposed enrollment 1,239. Cost per pupil $6,300.
Okay, we have a motion. I do have a question. Now, that budget, it stacks up very similar to what it has been in the past, right, Mr. Longo?
Pretty much so. I mean, it fluctuates from year to year, but not that significantly. I would say that's pretty much in line with other years, yes. We have had a creep over the past several years, just based on our increase in enrollments. We got more and more kids going there, so it has increased, but it's not much of an increase over last year.
So, it's pretty standard.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is.
having answered that question.
I'll second the motion.
Looking for a second. Thank you for second. We have a motion second. Any more questions?
Question?
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Move to tentatively adopt the preliminary budget for the Penn Trafford School District for the 2022-2023 school year in a total amount of $63,572,732 for advertisement and publication in accordance with district policy and the school laws of Pennsylvania. The preliminary budget calls for a 2 mil increase in real estate taxes for a total of 90.25 mils. The rate for Allegheny County will be 14.09.
We have a motion.
Second.
There was a motion and a second.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? I say nay.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you.
What was the final vote? 8-1?
The final vote was 8-1. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nemick. Buildings and grounds, Mr. Klein.
I move to authorize the administration to enter into negotiations for the purchase of a new administration building.
Second.
Question?
We have a motion second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Personnel and curriculum, Mr. Petrucci.
Okay, move to employ the following personnel, new employees contingent upon receipt of all necessary documentation that will include clearances of Act 34, 151, 114 from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania within 30 days. Elizabeth Zuno, custodian, Penn Trafford High School, effective April 27, 2022, at the rate of $15.50 per hour. Judy Hyman, PCA at Level Elementary School, effective April 6, 2022, at the rate of $15.50 per hour.
Second.
Question?
Question.
We have a motion second. A question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Is that all, Mr. Petrucci?
Yeah, that's all, Mr. President.
Policy, Public Relations, Legislative, and Title II, Mr. Stonebar.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to approve the list of graduates for the class of 2022 as submitted by Mr. Tony Aquilio, principal of Penn Trafford High School. pending satisfactory completion of all the requirements for graduation as prescribed by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in the Penn Trafford School District. I will now read the list of names.
Thank you.
Now, the copy will be filed with the official minutes.
Second.
Question, what's the total?
Amy, how many?
It's right around 320, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's funny, it's getting close to our numbers again, way back in the time machine.
328.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second.
And the question, so
And
you're
the
good.
question, now, what was the answer to that question?
320 something.
320.
So it's 320 hands to shake. Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Motion carries. Okay, solicitor's report.
Thank you, I have no report this evening.
No report.
I do have something before you adjourn that.
Yeah, is there anybody else that had anything to go?
I have something. Mr. Fox is actually here tonight, and he was on the agenda for extracurricular someplace in there, because it's the consent agenda for, would you on there tonight, for head teacher? Is that position there?
Yeah, I believe he was on there, yes.
Yeah, we have extracurricular on our, we don't always read everything, so it's the consent agenda, but because you are here, and you work very hard, because right now you have your master's in admin from where?
I have a master's from Welsh University of admin stuff from White Park.
And you're working on your doctorate?
Yeah, at IUP, right.
At IUP, so there's multiple, many years of schooling and everything. And he was chosen to be head teacher. As you know, Kathy Kelly, Garris is retiring this year, and in addition to all her other duties, she was also head teacher. So that job went up for bid, and it's our pleasure that you just hired tonight Mr. Jeff Fox as head teacher.
Congratulations.
At the high school.
That's at the high school.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Mr. Vega has something.
I just would like, if the members of the Act 93 negotiation committee can stop and sign the document that we ratified, I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And I need Mr. Stovar to stay for 1 second too. I have something for you.
Anything from anybody, any board members, or anybody present?
Did we adjourn?
No, we didn't adjourn yet.
I'm asking, will you cool down a little bit over there? Is there anything, anybody has anything else? You're being polite here, Phil.
I didn't
Okay.
say that. It's my neighbor.
Now,
Started to leave.
could we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
Those who are excused, I'm happy you have to take them up.
All right, thank you, everyone. Please turn off your microphone.